let's use the rational roots theorem to help us find all the real zeros of this polynomial. So in previous examples, they've given us a zero to start with, in which case we were able to use synthetic division and find the other zeros. However, in this case, we don't have anything to start with. And so what we're going to need to do is first make a list of possibilities and then test them using either synthetic division, or what's going to be quicker for us is we're going to use the table on our calculator to find the zeros. So step one is let's make a list of our possibilities. Recall that to make the list of your possibilities, you need to take the factors of your constant term and divide it by the factors of your leading coefficient. And so in this case, factors of our constant term are going to be 1, 2, 4, and 5, 10, and 20. All of those numbers are numbers that can be divided into 20. So there's my list of all the factors of the constant term. They gave me 1 as the leading coefficient, which is nice because the only factor of 1 is 1. So dividing everything in that top list by 1 gets me obviously the same list. So my possible rational zeros are 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20, as well as all the negative versions of those numbers. So I like to include parentheses and just put a plus or minus, telling me that each of those I could distribute the plus or minus sign to. So we know that this problem has at most 3 real solutions. It has 3 solutions. They may be real or imaginary, but it's got 3 solutions because the highest exponent's 3. And so looking at my list, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 possibilities. So I have 12 things that could work, and I know only 3 of them at most will. And so what I need to do now is start testing those. So your book suggests you go ahead and try synthetic division. You'd keep trying those until you found a remainder of 0. Finding a remainder of 0 when you do synthetic division would tell you found a 0. However, we're going to have a faster way. We're going to use our calculator on our table to test these and look for zeros. So we're going to switch over right now and do that. So hopefully you have your calculator handy. Let's switch over and see how we can use the table to find the zeros. So we've just used the rational roots theorem to make our list of possible rational zeros. And so now what we need to do is test those. We know at most 3 of them are going to work because this problem has 3 solutions. They may not be all rational, but we know at most there's going to be 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 possibilities with a plus or minus, knowing only 3 of them are going to work. So using synthetic division would be one way to do it, but it's going to be time consuming, knowing that our odds of picking one are not very good. And so here's what we're going to do instead. I'm going to use the table on my calculator to help me do this. I've gone ahead and already typed in my polynomial. Go ahead and do that yourself. What I'm going to do though, rather than just go to my table directly, I want to change the setting on my calculator. To do this, press second and window. And what I want to do is I want to change my independent variable, my x value, to ask. And so what that's going to allow me to do is actually type in only the x values I want to know. So that way I don't need to scroll through and test all the way up to 20, especially as you start to get fractions, they wouldn't show up anyway. So changing that to ask, watch what's going to happen when I go to my table now. So second graph, the table will be empty, but let's test one of our possibilities. 1 was a possible rational zero. So testing 1, I can see that it doesn't work. If it's going to be a 0, I'm going to get y equal to 0. So I'm looking for zeros in the y column. Let's try 2. 2 doesn't work either. And so what I want you to do is, at this point, pause the video and test all these yourself if you haven't looked and seen the answers already, until you can find the ones that work. At most 3 of them will work. So you may not find all 3, but keep testing some until you do. So again, pause the video. Otherwise, if you want to just cheat and kind of watch me do it, you can do that, but I'd recommend you guys try it on your own. So hopefully you've tested yourself and found your own values. But for example, when I eventually got to 4, 4 worked as one of my possibilities because it came up as a 0. So 4 is one of my solutions. 5 also worked. And then -1 was the final one that worked. So I happen to find all 3. That's good news. If you find all 3 zeros, or all 4 zeros, or however many there are, you're done with the problem. We found all 3 of them. So those are my 3 zeros from the list of 12 that we had as possibilities. Some of you are probably wondering, well, what do you do if you don't find all 3? And that's an excellent question, and one that we will answer in our next video.